Hello, and welcome to the Known Iron podcast. I'm your host, Lily Busby, and this will be a different type of episode with just me. Today, I chat about Biden's visit to Ulster University last Wednesday. I'm going to describe the day, play clips of the interviews. I also hear from some of my fellow students on how they found the day, and also what you, the listeners, thought. I study journalism at Ulster, and my lecturer, Leona O'Neill, she gave myself and a couple of other students the opportunity to talk to the media. So if you're listening, thank you so much. It was a jam-packed day, essentially, and our job for the day was to be interviewed. Joe Biden is the President of the United States. He was here to open the new Belfast campus of Ulster University and reflect on the Good Friday Agreement. He's also the fourth sitting president to visit this country. So I was at the Ulster University campus in Belfast from around 7:30, and several of the streets were closed, but I was able to access St Anne's car park, which is just around the corner. Fun fact, I spent £22 on the day. Yay! But when I was going there wasn't many about, but I could see press vans with their satellites. And it was quite interesting to see because the BBC was the only branded van. So there was like all these white vans and then there's the BBC just standing out. And I'm not sure if you've seen the Belfast campus, but basically, you know, where there's like a bridge corridor that's above the road connecting the university with the new one. Well, there were fences at either side of this, and it was across a big, large space. So, there's a whole bit of, it's like a press area, essentially, that the public couldn't go. And basically, there were these press stands that were just outside the entrance of the Burley building, I believe, which is the old university. There was also a huge police presence, and when I got there, I was supposed to meet someone in the Burley building, which I just mentioned. And that was inaccessible. We, the journalists and students, were actually introduced to the police. But really, we as a bank of students to be interviewed, we basically stayed with the PR people and were told to sit somewhere. We just stayed there essentially. So it was chaotic, and at times I definitely felt lost. It felt very strange because there was all these media organisations were ringing my phone. And people, outsiders were just intrigued of what we were doing. It felt a totally different experience. I do some extras work in films, and in the end, you're a tiny dot on the screen. But this time the camera was pointing right at you, and that was just class for me. Here is a clip of my interview for BBC Morning Ulster.
The US president is coming to Northern Ireland and to Ulster University. I just can't really comprehend the fact that he's actually on the campus. I think that's amazing, and if I could say to him today, I would ask him to put out a call of action for our politicians today to get Stormont up and running, and to use that money if he gives us any money.
See, the interesting thing about this one is that it was via phone-in. So in my head, I don't know what I was expecting, but originally they were trying to broadcast from a phone, and I was like, what? I wasn't expecting that, and the sound quality was so good. My dad, later on, he had assumed it was done in some sort of mobile studio, and he was so surprised. We did a piece in a pub for ITV, and it was class. There was these fancy cameras and setups, and I love seeing the things behind the scenes. And here is a short clip.
If you walk around uni, I don't think people are really thinking about trade deals from America. People are thinking about social lives, getting a job, and that cost of living crisis. There's the bread and butter issue.
So this wee clip, it appeared on TV, and people from England that I know were texting me being we saw you on TV. And people from my parents' work were that's your daughter, you must be so proud. And, it was class. Throughout the day, we were asked what this Biden visit means to you. Was Biden's speech tough enough for our politicians? Was it a snub that he was only here for one day? My personal opinion about the whole event was that it was hugely significant. It was a historical event that we as student journalists have witnessed, and in 25 years' time, like all the previous presidential visits, this will be archived, and we as students will look back on it. And speaking of students, here is some of what my fellow students thought.
Hey, my name is Kiva Clements, and I'm currently studying my Masters in Journalism at Ulster University, Coleraine. I personally thought that the speech that Joe Biden presented at Ulster University was spoken in the right tone. It was quite lighthearted. It was very encouraging. It was quite positive. It kind of marked as well the peace that we have created in the last 25 years because of the Good Friday Agreement. But it also reflects on the fact that we're not there just yet. I think yesterday was about bringing everyone together, the community, no matter what your identification was, no matter what your religious background views are, whatever political background you come from. Today was about everyone. It kind of reflects on the Good Friday Agreement, because it does say in the Good Friday Agreement that if you're born in Northern Ireland, you can identify as what you want. So I personally felt like the day was fantastic. I loved being part of the Ulster University media. It was definitely a day that kind of motivated me to keep on going to my master's degree. It's also one of those days that you're going to look back on in 25 years and be like, yeah, that day was great. And it's a day that it's unforgettable.
Hello, my name is Holly Watson. I'm a second year journalism student at Ulster University. I was invited by the US Consulate to attend Ulster University at their Belfast campus to hear President Biden speak. I was really excited to get this invitation. It's not something I ever thought I would get to do. It was in connection with me being an Ulster University student and being on the Washington Ireland program this year. I walked into this room where there was lots of hors d'oeuvres and drinks and things. And immediately, the first person I saw was Michelle O'Neill from Sinn Féin. And I was like, wow, like this is incredible. And of course, there was a lot of other political people there. A lot of people with affiliations with charities and different organizations. And it was really cool to kind of mingle and meet people. And I got to speak specifically to Joe Kennedy III. And then we went on to hear President Biden speak. And it was quite an incredible experience. And I liked his message about young people and the future of Northern Ireland rather than talking a lot about the past. I think what he said in the North was inspiring. I think whether or not you like President Biden or not, the idea of bringing in investment here and job opportunities here is going to especially benefit working class people. And that's working class people from all communities. And I can think that can only be a good thing. I think it was, sort of a once in a lifetime experience to go in person and hear the President of the United States speak.
So the day was quite a phenomenal day. Now, I'm going to have a look on social media just before we finish off. I asked those on TikTok and Instagram what they thought of Biden's visit. Some of the Instagram responses, someone said, I think people are quite idiotic. They praise him for his work here without realising all the destruction that he's causing across the world. For example, Yemen, Palestine, the Willow Project. And someone else has said, from a different point of view, a missed opportunity for Northern Ireland without a functioning government. I'm just going to go into TikTok now. So this is what my TikTok followers said. One person said, I think it brings good publicity as Northern Ireland was on loads of American TV programs, and it's cool to see our small country on a bigger scale. Another person also said, Ireland always welcomes its children home. It's a range of views, and I was also on You Love, which is a student platform for Ulster University students. Well, Queen's have one too, but I was on the Ulster University one, and some people were really asking, how did students get selected to watch Biden? So I think this visit was, yes, it was politically significant, but I also think it was very significant to students because it's their university being put on the map, put on TV, and it's them that will be affected in the future. So it's a time and a day that I'll just never forget. Well, that's it for today, and I hope you enjoyed the episode. Till next time, stay tuned and we'll talk later.